Man, they got that Oppenheimer sequel out fast. Godzilla Minus One, starring a bunch of names I'm about to horribly mispronounce. Minami Hamabe, Kamiki Runesuke, Hidetaka Yoshioka, Yuki Yamada, Sakura Ando, and more, is about a post-war Japan at its low point when a new crisis emerges in the form of the giant monster baptized in the horrific power of the atomic. I'm going to first get it out of the way that I'm no huge Godzilla fan. I've seen a few of the American-made, Hollywood-produced ones. I haven't watched any of the older Godzilla movies, and I didn't really have any expectations for this movie whatsoever. I remember seeing a trailer for it about a month ago and thinking that's weird that they only released a trailer for it about a month beforehand. I barely even remembered watching the trailer, and then I saw that reviews were coming out for this movie, and it was at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes and had an average rating of 8.3, and I had nothing to do on Friday during the day. So I decided to go and see it, and it was one of the best decisions that I've ever made because holy shit, this movie is absolutely fantastic. So let's get into some of the specifics about Godzilla Minus One. Starting with the good. The action sequences in this movie, specifically the chase sequence at the very beginning and the ending 20 to 30 minutes, the final massive fight that they have with Godzilla, is shot so beautifully and it looks absolutely perfect. You can tell that there was lots of time and care put into the VFX and special effects in this movie. On an only $15 million budget, it looks significantly better than something that Disney or other major studios have been putting out these days. And again, it only had a $15 million budget, and it is insane to think that they got that much done with just that little of a budget. For sure, the first Godzilla movie that I've watched where I cared about what happened to the characters whenever he was tearing up a city. And it was cool to see him tear through a city, but I was like genuinely more focused on the human element of this movie and making sure that they got out of the situations that they were put in. But at the core of this movie, it is a story about a soldier coming home from war, having to live with some of the choices that he made and suffering severe PTSD. And it was absolutely brutal, but the way that they told the story was beautiful. Like, this doesn't even feel like a Godzilla movie because it focused so heavily on the relationships, the family dynamic that kind of gets forced upon our main character. And Godzilla really just serves as a metaphor for post-war PTSD and how the war is still going on for a lot of soldiers because of the trauma that they face. Seeing the main character come home from the war as a failed kamikaze pilot and seeing him be ostracized by the community that he was a part of was just brutal to watch, but very historically accurate. And I thought that was a really nice touch that they added onto this movie. Just the absolute depressing nature of an absolutely destroyed Japan. This movie tackles a lot about what it really means to be a family and how you can just be thrown into one, how to forgive people, what honor really is, how soldiers deal with PTSD. I honestly was more bored when Godzilla was on screen destroying shit because I was more interested in the friendships that our main characters form and the family dynamic that he came around to care for. Everybody in this movie, from all of our main characters' friends on the fishing boats to the family dynamic. With that out of the way, let's get into a few of the neutral points that I have about this movie. There's a few blemishes in the editing and overall the movie structure is just something that I personally wasn't used to because I don't see too many foreign films. So there's definitely a few areas where I'm like, that's not usually how I witness. That's not usually how a movie goes. And it takes you out for a second or two. But it was never anything that I was like, oh, that's a bad or that's a good thing. It was just something like, oh, that's not something that's normal. And then this movie, I saw it in subtitled. That's the only way that you should be seeing this movie. If you don't, get over it. Watch this movie with subtitles on. Watch it how it was intended to be watched. It takes absolutely nothing away from the experience, and you don't even realize that you're reading the subtitles. Now let's get into a few of the negatives that I have about this movie. The ending, not to get into too many spoilers, is a little bit cheesy. And I don't really mind it that much because it still definitely fit the narrative that they were trying to go for, and it really wraps it all bow tight. And I was completely fine with the decisions that the narrative made. The biggest complaint that I have is that there was an absolutely massive Ex Machina moment that was a little bit of an eye roll, but again, it really didn't matter too much. It didn't serve too much in the purpose of the story. It just gave one of our other characters a really big moment for him to finally shine through, and I didn't really mind it too much, but that was just a very minor negative. At 2 hours and 5 minutes, this movie is paced perfectly. I was never bored. It really balanced the human element of getting a very grounded, dark, very emotional story, and Godzilla absolutely destroying shit. It combined the two of those two things together really, really well, and I cannot recommend this movie enough. It is by far the most surprising movie of the year that I have seen. Honestly, I've given it about a day now to really think about if this movie is my favorite movie of the year, and I would probably say that it is. It's between this, Oppenheimer, and Holdovers. This is still, this movie will definitely be ending up bare minimum in my top three. I absolutely loved it, and you guys should definitely go out and watch it. So let me know what you thought of Godzilla Minus One down in the comments below. Let me know. Make sure to follow me over on Letterboxd. Links for that down in the description below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and we will see you in the next movie review.